You know what we could do for an intro is we can do the do you know the voice of the guy that says "Let's get ready to rumble"?
Yeah.
So he owns that phrase with those words, and you can't say otherwise. He will sue you. He's made millions of dollars from that.
Yeah.
But if we said something about the intro, like in that style, I think legally that's acceptable. Not "Let's get ready to podcast." That's stupid. But something like that.
I can't do it. But
No, I can't. I don't want to do it either. But like, this is insert that here, and that's the intro. Because that was shit. Yeah, that wasn't good. Also, remember, you are quiet naturally, right? So just hold it closer to you.
Sit closer.
If you, yeah. That way I can just, turn it up and that. Yeah, that's probably fine.
It should be good.
Yeah, it should be good. All right, cool. Well, we've got a pretty good episode lined up here with some good topics, as per usual, some good segments. We're here with one live studio audience member, as per usual, as is the general go-to with every single episode. And let's just proceed from here. So, Dazz, have you ever heard of Andrew Tate?
Yes. This is the guy you showed me.
Yeah, I show you so many fucking videos.
Yeah, he keeps coming up in my feed now.
Bro, do you know how and why? So, okay, I tried to go over this last episode, and what happened is that I was so sleep deprived that I couldn't form a coherent sentence, I think. I don't know, I haven't listened to the episode yet. And I'm not sure what information came out. So we're just going to do this again. Because also you're just a different person. I was telling Moss about him, and I don't know what his opinion was, but alright. He has a lot of extreme views, but he has the wealth and status to back it up.
Yeah.
And I maintain that Moss would be like that if he had status and wealth, which is a nice way of saying value as a person. And this is a call out to you, Moss. Get your video done, all right? Hurry up with Resident Evil late, okay? You piece of shit. This is a call. You said, "Oh, you're not going to call me out." Yes, I am. I'm going to call you out on it because you announced on the podcast that you were going to get it done by the 2nd of July. And by this recording, it is actually the 17th of July, and all we've got is a lousy teaser trailer. And I know for a fact that when you listen to games being announced with a teaser trailer for this, you go, "Oh, why is it being delayed? Why is it this?" Well, now you fucking know, you lazy piece of shit. All right? So, enough with that. Andrew Tate, all right? What do you know about the guy?
Oh, I've just seen his videos. He's got some out there philosophies.
Right. You see, the more I listen to it, the more I agree with him. Okay? Now, it sounds out there, but if you take into account what he's actually... Okay, yes, there are times where he sounds like just a raging misogynist, right?
Yes.
But some of his points make sense, all right? So
Some of them,
yes. Okay. The basis behind his logic of how he seems to present his information is... You can follow him if you explain it in a reasonable manner. He does it. He's almost like a comedian.
No, yeah,
right?
it sounds like comedy, but
he's serious, and that's
serious.
why it's so good. That's why it's so good, right? At the very least, bottom line, he's entertaining to listen to, so you get to entertain his ideas as well.
Yeah,
right. So he goes on about how, in a survival situation, men and women will resort to their natural roles, all right? The women will look after the house, the men will go out hunting, providing for the family, right? Now, in Western worlds, that's not the case because, the women get to be, this, that, and then the men get to be, this, that. He presents it as the men get to be pussies and the women get to just walk all over them. And he doesn't agree with that philosophy because that's not, I guess maybe that's not how he lived or grew up, but I do kind of agree. as unsexist as possible, his logic of in a survival in a third world country, they don't give a shit about let's have equal roles for men and women in movies. They don't care. I mean,
you can just look at Ukraine right now.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's they don't care. It's you get the job done, you do it. However, he does say that okay, if he's in Iraq and he's being showered with bullets and there's a Jeep with a man driving and a Jeep with a woman driving, he'll get in the Jeep with the man driving because he will survive, right? He trusts the men to drive more because in general, he says that men are better drivers than women. And it doesn't mean that exceptions aren't available. He just means that the vast majority, men are better under pressure because they don't have to deal with their emotions. His words, right? And that men aren't pussies. Now, we know some pussies, and they don't fit into his stereotype. But in general, fuck, I think I'm becoming sexist. I gotta stop listening to him. But he's such a... It's so entertaining to listen to, right? Like, I don't want to stop listening to it. Like, it's how he presents his thoughts and opinions and information. It's just... It's too good. It's like he's a comedian, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
It's just... Oh. And then he appeared, right? One of the first, like, long-form bits of content that I saw of him is when he appeared on Tom Segura and Christina P's podcast.
Oh, that was good, yeah.
So did you watch that one?
No, I need to still.
Okay, you should, alright? So, like...
Wait, look, I'm gonna be listening to him because I'm gonna start driving to work now.
Fantastic.
So
Please.
45 minutes a day.
Put it first on your list. The podcast goes for 3 hours.
Alright, I'll add it.
Alright, good. And he goes into, like, how he grew up, right? He goes into, like, his modern philosophies, right? There's one he goes where Christina asks him, like, are you poly, right? And his response is that, no, that's fucking haram, because he'll talk to multiple women, but he won't let the women talk to other men, right? Because that's disgusting. That's haram. But I don't know if he sees the funny value in calling that haram. I don't know if that's just how he's
I don't think he does.
But I know that's just like, that fucking blows my mind because it's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, dude, okay, Andrew Schultz talked about it once, right? And recently they did like maybe 40 minutes on this guy. And he's going on about how, one of the funniest things he's ever said was that if women had their body count on their foreheads, it would solve all the problems in the world. Right? Now, that inherently is a funny idea, and if he's serious, it's less funny. But if it's a joke, genius. Right? I fully agree with Schultz there. Okay?
Yeah.
What do you think about women's body counts?
Oh, it doesn't really matter to me.
It doesn't matter to you, alright? Now, to Andrew Tate, it really matters, alright? It's the driving force of the world, right? But... to each their own, right? To him, he'd disagree. Everyone apparently is the same on the inside or like deep down because of like evolution, history, and all that shit. But and then he also immediately then goes from explaining these to then selling his school, which I might actually buy into. I don't know, or just to see, just to investigate. And if I make 10K in a month, I make 10K in a month. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Look, if it works.
Can always be material.
Yes, true. But just because it's 10K profits doesn't mean you don't spend 9 of that like building the business after. Like, do you know much about business building or not really?
Wait, you said profits?
Yeah, profits.
But that 9K wouldn't be...
Well, no, but then if you make the 9K profit and then you just invest it back into the business, it's like how YouTubers in like the midway point before they go from just starting out to like getting big, they'll fully invest everything that they've made back in like that same idea. Do you reckon that's viable as a business, or is it this doesn't count, or what are your thoughts?
If you're the one starting the business, then you are most of the time reinvesting everything anyway into your business.
Right. So then does that count as 10K profit, or is that just 10K that you now have to then spend into...
No, you would have profit, but then when you invest it in, it would come under as an investment into the business. It would be an income of money to the business.
Gotcha. And I think this is how people like Andrew Tate hide their money.
Yeah. Because if businesses reinvest the profits into the business, it counts as capital expenditure.
Right.
Which goes against their profit.
Okay.
Because it counts as a business expense.
Yeah, all right, I'm following that. That makes sense. I hope that this is not financial advice.
Yeah,
sorry, hang on, we've got to get the legal thing in. This is not financial advice.
Because otherwise, otherwise that profit would be subject to taxes and stuff if you distribute it in a certain way. But if you put it as a capital expenditure, then it's not taxed at all, and your business is growing still.
Right.
Which in the long term will make you more money.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm fully invested now. I'm doing it.
That's how all these non-profits work. Like, just because they don't make a profit doesn't mean they're not making money. They're just increasing salaries and costs and stuff like that.
It's all about the wording and shit, actually. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
And there's so many loopholes and stuff that people try to get around.
Well, I hope if of the 3 people listening right now, that if anyone actually finds that interesting, we can do a business episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
Go all into it. and have like little
These
like,
are-
just talking shit.
The thing is, these are like just general life skills that people just don't know about most of the time.
Yeah.
Because they just.
Would you blame the schooling system for that?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Because especially because I only learned about economics in year 11 and 12, and it was some of the most important stuff I'd ever learned for my life, like because it mattered to like just living in general, like understanding how the economy's working, how it's going to affect you.
But if they taught you that information too young, do you think you would have paid attention to it?
Yeah, no, if you're too young, you wouldn't understand, because it's quite complex ideas, like on a global scale and stuff. But just if you slowly started to learn about it, like, you know, like it would make sense when you go do your tax return and stuff like that, like things like that.
You wouldn't be lost. You wouldn't have to hire some other guy to do it.
And you understand what's going on in the world and how you should like move your money around, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
But
see, if everyone knew how to do it, then like I don't think the system would be as good as it is, because if everyone's doing it, then because okay, if everyone's making money, right? There's a finite amount of money, so you can only spread it out so much.
There's not.
Right? There's not.
No,
you think there's an infinite amount of money?
No, it's not that. It's that your money grows,
right?
Like with like businesses, like because the money is directly tied to how much we produce in the world. If we keep producing goods and services, then like that's how more money is generated.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like
yes,
but it's not like we're printing money. It's that the money is growing in value.
Well, I mean, didn't the cost of living go up recently?
Yeah.
Are we in a recession as well?
Yeah. No, but I'm not saying. What I'm saying is it moves up and down.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, in a recession, it means that your money is getting less valuable.
Fantastic. All right, well, that's good to hear.
So
maybe
that's why it's a good thing if everyone knows what to do, what's going on with the world and stuff. Because if they are growing their own like wealth and stuff, that means everybody's going up together.
That's
like,
right. Or everyone's falling down together.
Exactly.
Right. But unfortunately, not everyone's like that. People think differently, and
yeah, and it's because that's the thing. If people fail financially, that's not a good thing for the like economy.
No.
Like if they start defaulting on mortgage and stuff, it has a domino effect. Like
so. Would you fail your own mortgage just to fuck with the government?
No.
No, it's not worth it. Okay.
No.
How many failed mortgages do you think it takes to fuck with the government?
It doesn't matter on an individual level, because
that's why I said you got to group it up. What's the number? How many people?
Do it.
How many? Like theoretically, we know nothing about this. We're just throwing numbers out there. How many people? How many people to overthrow the government?
Overthrow the government? You mean collapse the world economy is what you're talking about?
Okay, yeah. So how many people? How many people do you reckon? How many households?
A few 100,000.
300,000? I think that's a fair estimate. Were you being modest in that by rounding down or trying to round up? Because
rounding down. Because do you understand how the banks group all the mortgages? Do you understand the world financial
not
crisis?
Even a little bit.
So
that's what makes it so entertaining for me.
Okay, so if that's the thing, on an individual level, if say I default on my mortgage, I lose my house, right?
Right.
What the banks do is they like give out mortgages to like hundreds of thousands of people, yeah?
Yeah.
And what they do is they group that, like say 100,000 people's mortgages together, and they sell the entire stack of mortgages as one thing to an investment firm or whatever, and they buy it. The thing is, if too many people in that 100,000 start defaulting on their mortgage, that whole like stack of mortgages becomes worthless to the bank.
I see the problem.
And back in the world financial crisis, the banks and shit were just handing out mortgages to anybody who could who wanted one, basically.
Right.
And they weren't doing checks. They weren't checking how well people could like pay off their loans and stuff. They had this whole mentality of who doesn't pay off their home loan. Like everyone like wants to live in a house and own a house. So like no one's not going to pay for their home loan.
Right.
And basically what happened was it got like people had like 5 to 6 mortgages, like, and they literally, have you watched The Big Short?
I have not, no.
It's a very good movie that kind of explains it does explain the global financial crisis with like celebrity actors like Mila
Is it an entertaining movie?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good, because I'm categorizing that with when you said, hey, let's watch War Dogs. Was it you that said watch War Dogs? Yeah.
But this is slightly different, and it's even more fucked. Because it's like...
Well, you have my interest, so I'm adding that to the list. What was it again, sorry?
The Big Short.
Big Short, okay, no worries.
But yeah, basically... Yeah, in the actual like movie, they were talking about how like the guys that like the characters, they're trying to understand what's going on. They literally found like strippers that had like 6 mortgages and like didn't understand that in like a couple years their interest rates was going to start increasing because they give you a low interest rate at the beginning, but then suddenly it just starts increasing in
so
price.
What was that? That was a lack of information. On
lack
the
of information
part.
on the strippers part, yeah. But the thing was, people didn't understand like what they were getting signed like up to. The banks weren't really warning them, and they were just handing them out like candy. Basically, they were just giving out home loans like crazy.
Yeah,
and people always had the mentality of, oh, if I can't afford my mortgage, I'll just sell the house, which will cover the mortgage. Like you put the asset against the thing.
Yeah.
Problem was, everyone had a fucking mortgage, and like if people had like 6 houses, there was no demand to buy the houses at those prices.
Right.
And then if you couldn't pay off your mortgage, you had to default on it, and it just became a giant domino effect. And that's how the world economy crashed, basically. Like,
what year was this?
2008, I think it was. Yeah, the financial crisis, 2007.
Missed that one.
But that's why it's important for people to have some level of understanding of economics and the economy, and just how to manage their own expenses at least. Like,
right. Now, for all the shit that Andrew Tate says, I think he does understand and know how to handle his money like that.
Oh, 100%. Like,
he's cracked the system. He's broken the matrix. That's what phrase he uses.
For him, the thing is, he's on a completely different financial level to everyone else.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Like,
apparently he's worth
like to ordinary people. Yeah,
350 million.
Yeah. Like, your priorities are way different to like an everyday person who's just trying to make rent or like keep their kids fed, like that kind of stuff.
It's ridiculous. You know, he's got a thing about buying houses, and he says not to, because if you piss off the government, they'll just take your house. Like, your paper that says, yes, you own the house, even if you own it in full, then piss off the government, they'll stamp a different paper, and that's it. That house is no longer yours. So you don't actually own it, so you should never buy a house. And now I'm using that logic when people ask me to, like, why don't you own a house? Why aren't you saving up to buy a house? It's like, no, because the government will take it when I piss them off.
I mean... I would tell you right now, don't buy a house unless you're
sold.
Unless you're like in a certain position to be able to get one.
Yeah.
Because especially with how high house prices are right now, compared to your like the median income.
Yeah.
It's not always a smart decision to just buy a house. Like it is nice to have equity and have capital and stuff, but you also need to consider your financial situation.
Okay, I did some math just before, and let's say average house and land, just pair it together when I say house, costs $1 million, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You take out a mortgage for that house, right? You're paying it off for 30 years. Okay. Let's say instead you're renting for $1,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
12 months in a year, so let's say 12 grand. Times 30 years is 360,000, I think. Pretty sure that's what it said on the calculator. But basically, that's
you'd have to adjust for inflation, but
okay. Ignore inflation just for a second, just for the sake of the argument, just so the numbers are even and easy to understand. 360,000 as opposed to $1 million, and then you're locked into this contract, like trying to like.
You're not locked in because, as I said, if you can sell the house and you'll offset your mortgage.
All right, you've got options, but you're still trying to own something that it's actually incredibly unlikely that you will, unless you just put away all your money aside. You slave away at a 9 to 5 that you might not even like.
But what most people do is they don't pay the mortgage for 30 years. They'll pay it for like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Sell the house for a profit.
Yeah.
And that profit is what they'll keep.
Is that 5 to 10 years worth investing for?
It is for some people, because like there was.
But for most people, roughly. I don't think so.
No, not everyone can just get into it. But if you're most people can get into that situation. It just depends on your situation. Like for you and me, actually, it would be easier because we don't have any dependents or obligations or anything. Yes. Like that. It's when you start having kids and things that it becomes much more difficult. Yeah. And that is kind of the case.
Which is another thing that society tries to reinforce. Like, hey, have kids. You know, we got dumb cunt people that we know that they just keep having kids.
This was another thing Andrew Tate said, didn't he?
Yeah, I think
smart people should have kids.
Yeah, only smart people, because it's like genetically, like, and also they have to be male because then they fit into his template, right? But no, see, like, if you just like think about more of what he's saying rather than just taking for face value all the shit that he says on TikTok, then he does have value behind his words, but people dismiss him as just some angry ex 4 times world champion kickboxer.
Yeah.
That has millions of dollars and 15 bitches like next to him right now. Yeah. So I don't know. The guy interests me. So if I find out more information, more things, I'll bring it back up again. The whole reason, I don't know if I covered this before, that I brought him back up again today in this episode, when I talked about him last episode, is I don't know how coherent last episode was.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a lot more coherent now with you. Maybe it's just who I'm talking to. Maybe it was Moss's fault. Fuck you, Moss.
Moss has a habit of derailing the conversation as well.
Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Most of the time, yes, actually. Yeah, fuck him. It'd take long to figure out. Anyway, well, that's it for that side. Let's change topics. You and I went skiing recently.
Yeah, it was. We went on a holiday together. It was
good. We went with some other friends too, and there's a video in production. Different competing videos, really.
Actually, yes, we're both working on a video to summarize our ski trip.
Yeah, and we were using different footage, we had different editing styles.
Yeah.
And it's basically a competition between who our friends like the most.
Yeah. But
need I remind you that I made Among Us videos back during COVID 3 that were very popular at the time.
They were good, yeah.
So you see, and they were good amongst our friends, not necessarily like any public value, but like,
yeah. And I think the key to that was it included our friends in the videos.
That's true,
which is kind of the case in this one.
That's exactly right. But still, there was only two of the people in the video were in the Among Us videos, but I don't know if it'll resonate very well with the people that are just watching their friends go enjoy themselves without them.
Well, we did invite them, so...
That's true. That is true. And sometimes it was out of their control, whether they could come or not. But this is like, hey, look at what we did without you.
No. Look at us enjoying ourselves.
Yeah. Without you. Yeah. No, it's not really like that, but it kind of is. And the videos... They're made to show that it's really a test to see how well we can edit together vlogs, essentially. Like that's what we did. We vlogged.
This is my first video vlog that I'm editing together, so I'm
actually
forward to see because you guys know that I do more photography. So this was something
that is an established part of the law in the podcast.
Yes. So this was a new thing I undertook. So yeah,
it's good if we just. Yeah, whip out the camera every so often, talk shit, and just...
It was actually way smoother than I thought it was going to be.
What? Like
when we recorded...
how we did it? Or
how we recorded. Like, we did one take for everything.
Yeah.
And just, yeah. And
okay, because like sometimes like it's... Otherwise you're spending time trying to add production value that doesn't necessarily... Like, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So you pull it out and just have a chat. It'd be just like as if you were talking to a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, actually, because the thing, actually, no, I just remembered I did a video project for my last assessment in uni.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. So, the engineering one, yeah?
Yeah, but that wasn't too hard to edit together because it was pretty chronological, a lot of the stuff.
But you were still trying to, like, make a point with your presentation, right?
Yeah.
So, and like, you still had to edit out bits.
Yeah, but in that, I had way more takes for that video because we were trying to do something accurately. Like, I remember, I think that was, like, 30 gigabytes of footage or something that I had to edit together, and like it ended up only being like a 10 gig video at the end.
Oh yeah.
So like a lot of it was just garbage, which I mean, because
it's gonna happen.
Yeah. But it worked out because I was able to like splice clips together so it sounded coherent, even if we like made mistakes in certain bits.
Yeah, dude. See, even I think it was episode 3. I had to cut something out with just Tom. So on the video version, I green screened myself into what there was. And I wrote myself like 3 lines, and it was, so I had to cut this bit out. The good news is, on YouTube, you get a little Easter egg here, but for now, back to the show, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
15 takes, trying to like look in front of the green screen, say those lines. I fucking wrote those lines, and I couldn't remember them. And it's just, there's so much on the cutting room floor for that one. And it was like just a quick 20-second insert. The audio would have been the same quality as before. It was just trying to get that fucking green screen shit in.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I mean, it's good to try out, but like, I definitely preferred how we did it when we filmed, just like whip the camera out, talk shit.
Yeah, I think that was what it was. It was because it was more relaxed, and it was like, no, we're just focusing on actually like getting to the place.
Yeah.
And the video was like,
you say we, but you did all the driving. I did a lot of the production.
Yeah, the recording and stuff was just a side thing, which we just collected.
We just kept going as we did.
So, yeah, it actually, it was a lot of fun just recording as well. And even on the mountain, we tried to get a few good clips, but the thing was we were having trouble with like just getting back on.
It's like the Hollywood like cameramen who are just like next to, like, they're on roller skates with a camera.
Yeah.
It's the same shit, just like on a smaller scale. Yeah?
Yeah.
GoPro on a stick with skis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
it was-
not to mention, right, you had a snowboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, again, it's different technique and shit. So you would miss things that I would miss.
Yeah,
and then-
because I needed to keep Barnzey on the side facing like my body.
Yeah.
And then he would ride to like the other side of me, and it's like that my back is facing him, so it was really hard
And then
to
you
like
have to
get
spin around, and
yeah.
we're traveling fast, going down
Yeah.
a mountain. I'm trying to focus on skiing as well. I've got music, like fucking Motley Crue blasting in my ears. Dude, that shit was awesome.
Yeah.
The footage might not reflect that, but it was still like a cool thing to try and like
So-
put together.
But that was the other thing. We were trying to balance just having fun and also like recording for this like trip.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not like a whole bunch of recording on the mountain either.
Yeah. I think we could have done a bit more jokes or like just bits, but it's all right. There's the one where it's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm learning to ski. And
Oh yeah.
like watching YouTube on the fucking motel room.
Yeah.
Cuts to the footage, and like I know there's a clip that I saw from your GoPro footage where I just zoom past and fall over.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't happen chronologically, I think we can find a way to make that.
Oh yeah. We can get an edit going for that.
Yeah. So, but that whole trip, that was pretty good. And we even busted out a fucking podcast.
Yeah,
while driving.
We did a podcast while driving. That
Yeah.
was 2 episodes ago, I think.
Yes, it was 23. This is
Yeah.
25. Oh shit, dude! This is like 25. This is halfway to a year. 52 week, half-ish.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, fuck, bro, that went quick.
Yeah.
And dude, a quarter of the way to 100 episodes. Have I told you what the idea is? Like what Just Tom had for the 100th episode?
No, you haven't.
Okay, so he's like, hey, why don't we do it in VR? So he's got a VR setup.
Yeah.
I've got a VR setup. We'll get like a custom map, set up a server, sit at a dining table, and actually have like a camera filming. It's just like this, but like he'll be like some anime character, and I'll be like, I don't know, like Dr. Eggman or some shit.
Yeah.
We're just like sitting in a 50s diner talking shit. And like if you picture like Moss there on the side of
Yeah.
and he's got, I don't know, probably just like the most vile avatar you can think of. I won't
It's a
say
furry.
Yeah. Okay. He would kill himself. But like that could be the footage. Like it's audio like this, but you actually see us like the real time of what was recording, but it was like in VR.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just like a cool little idea. I don't think maybe we've said it before on the podcast, but this is like foreshadowing to that.
No.
No,
I haven't heard it. No,
you haven't heard
because
it?
I still
No.
had to catch up on a couple episodes. But yeah,
it's all right. I mean, like they're designed to listen to whatever interests you. So if you see the title, it's kind of like YouTube clickbait, where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you look at this, you can see that, right? And it's like sometimes it's a bit ridiculously out there. Like on the last episode, I briefly remember being like, hey, Moss, Mr. Bean wants to ban the burqa. And it's like, what? And it was just like, it was completely different to that. It was just like, hey, it was like actually Rowan Atkinson supporting Boris Johnson's joke in reference to Muslim women about how they dress, like who would want to dress like a mailbox.
Yeah.
With the fucking slit shit. And he's like, Rowan Atkinson goes, hey, you shouldn't apologize for a bad joke. That was a good joke. Let's move on. Like that was like essentially what the article was, but just throwing out there, Mr. Bean wants to ban the burqa.
Yeah.
That's funny. But anyway, off topic from the ski trip, right? So we you and I were smart in hiring our gear not up the mountain.
Yeah. So for the record, I planned the whole trip.
You did. You
Barnzey.
actually like you. I was there for the ride, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which was fine because I think I invited Barnzey on the trip anyway.
Oh yeah.
So I was happy to plan it out.
I mean, we've mentioned. No, it started off with Sarah being like, "Do you like skiing?"
Yeah.
I was like, "No." I was like, "Do you like the snow?"
Yeah, but
I was like, yeah. And then it just went from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you did all the legwork pretty much. Like
Yeah.
even the fucking driving. Yeah, bro. Like, gee, like you must have really wanted to be there.
Yeah, because bro, I haven't been since 2019, so I was itching to go like really badly, and then it's always good to have people come with you. So
Yeah.
I was happy. Like all I needed was for people to say yes, and then I was happy to do like all the rest for it.
That's good as. Yeah, see, I hadn't been since 2016. I didn't even know if I could still ski. And
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, take lessons. Like, nah, bro, just watch YouTube. I saved $150, and I only crashed like 12 times. It was fine.
Everyone falls here and there.
I fell everywhere.
Yeah.
Not as bad as someone we know.
Yes.
But maybe they should have been hospitalized.
Maybe, yeah. I think they ended up in the hospital, so I think they were.
Okay, maybe they were hospital. Okay, yeah, that counts. Yeah, safe recovery. She's not gonna listen.
She'll be fine.
She'll be fine. She'll be fine. All right. Cool. But no, we took it pretty easy for the first day of the trip. Second day was where it picked up, and we were like, okay, let's get into it. Let's ski. And then by the third day, because we only had 2 days actually on the mountain, it was like, okay, this is the day to take risks.
Yeah.
Let's go to the big mountains. Now, the snow, you know how many meters roughly is the distance between the ski lift chairs?
Oh, distance probably 15 meters.
15 meters?
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine only being able to see a silhouette 15 meters away.
Yeah.
And that's what the weather conditions were like on the second day, which was fine. I was just like fucking zooming down, zigzagging through people just as they were spawning in, essentially.
Yeah.
And it was good fun. And then the snow cleared up, and I was like, oh, all right, fine. I guess I'll be responsible. But no, you eventually, like, you were just like, no, I want to go on this mountain and stay on this run, because it was like, what was the run called again?
Shaky Knees.
Shaky Knees. So you were spending all your time. So we went to Mount Buller. I don't think we said that.
Yeah, we went to Mount Buller.
Yeah. So Shaky Knees is a run designed for snowboarders, essentially, right?
It's good for snowboarders, yeah.
Right. So you learned there back in 2017.
Yeah, so when I was
17 or 16.
2016. Same trip.
Same trip. Because you know what? For another funny story, we went on the same ski trip back in high school. Didn't talk to each other, but we did the same thing.
Weren't friends, but we spent the whole trip together.
Whole trip. No, neither of us fucking knew. I mean, maybe we knew, but didn't recognize it.
Become friends like 4 years later.
Yep, that's how it is sometimes, right? That's just how it is. But yeah, that's where you learned to ski. So you eventually figured out that you can clock the whole thing from going down. Exiting the lift, going down the mountain, getting back on the lift, getting back to the stop, back to the start in, what was it?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Good.
Like, flight.
Which is very efficient considering how long we were waiting in the queues for like all the basic lines to get up the mountain.
That was the other thing. This particular run wasn't very busy because it was annoying for skiers.
Yes,
and,
as I figured out.
And it was an intermediate run as well. So there were no kids there.
Yeah.
Because all the kids were on the like...
But the kids that could do it were bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it was a decent run. Basically, as soon as you get off the chairlift, you could strap in and you start the run basically from the chairlift all the way down to when you get to the bottom.
Yeah, and if you don't crash, you can do it consistently.
Exactly, yeah. So I was knocking him out basically 4 runs an hour.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other runs, I mean, there was... you want me to tell the story?
Yeah, I want you to tell that story.
Yeah, okay. So
the Snow Patrol.
The beginning of the second day, we all like grouped up together and like, because there were 6 of us and 2 of the guys, it was their first time skiing. Mm-hmm. So they'd spent the whole first day on the beginner slopes with an instructor. So they wanted to like hang out with us for a bit. And the leader of our group, Sarah, suggested that we all do this run together that's supposed to be not too bad. It was called It's Family Run, which is, I remember it being a beginner run when we went in 2016, but it had been changed to an intermediate run when we came back.
That's suspicious.
Yeah.
Because it's a mountain. You can't really terraform the mountain to be different.
No, they do. They groom all of the runs. So
okay, all right.
I mean, they could do something to it. But yeah, but it's still not that bad. Like, I'd argue that the Little Buller and Wombat and Family Run, like if you're past the beginner slopes, it's a good place to go because the main reason they're good is because of how wide they are.
Yes.
So you've got plenty of room to maneuver, but they are a bit steep. So that's the only thing. But Family Run's a lot less steep. So yeah, we went down and because they had done Family Run on the first day, Sarah and her friend. Excuse me. So yeah, we all went together, and this is one of the things that's annoying for me. So we go up the main, the express lift that goes to the top of the summit, of like the first summit.
Yep. And
from there you can go to like the other, like the Family Run and Little Buller and stuff. But to get there, you have to like kind of trek across a little bit of a slope and a flat spot. Which is fine for the skiers, they just push themselves along, but for snowboarders it's like you go down for a bit and then you hit the flat spot and then you got to unbuckle and like shuffle your way up to like the start of the run.
And we were like, come on Dazz, hurry up.
Yeah. So I was the only snowboarder in our group of 6, so they were always having to wait for me, and it was annoying having to wait. I agree, it was annoying to wait for me, but it was also not my fault that these cunts kept going to like different runs and not staying in that area for very long.
Yeah, because you'd have to do the travel time between.
Yeah, because if we stay in one area, it's fine. I jump off the ski lift and we go straight down the next run. But these guys would do one area, do one run only, and then be like, oh, let's go over here, which is like another walk and a half to get to it.
Yeah.
So it's okay for them because they push along, but it takes time consuming for me. So yeah, so we did the family run, but halfway down family run, there was a flag like string across, and they basically closed family run for the second day because I'm not entirely sure, but they probably because of the fog. I think that was it.
That might have been it. Yeah.
So they closed it and basically had to detour onto a different route.
Was that one? That wasn't Wombat.
No, it was a small route.
Yeah, very very small.
Yeah,
but very steep.
Yeah, so we did that, and it's kind of narrow and stuff, and it's like there's like a cliff on the left side and things, but it wasn't too bad. But we get to the end of it, and there's a giant line for the lift. Because I'm guessing a lot of people wanted to do family run, and then they got detoured to this place, so they all were like, "Oh fuck, we got to go back up." The other thing was, this wasn't a lift; it was a T lift.
The T lift is like it's this bar that you basically not sit on, but it like hooks in behind your ass and it just pulls you up the mountain. Yeah.
So if you imagine, like, as for skiers, it's very easy because it just basically. You basically let it rest against your butt, and it just pulls you up the mountain. And you're meant to do this thing in pairs, the T-bar. For snowboarders, it's a little bit trickier because you still have to face like the slope side on with your your foot forward, and then that bar just sits in between your legs still. But it's way trickier because for snowboarders, you always have to unbuckle your back foot because it's a safety thing. Like if you crash, you need to be able to get out of the way if something's going on. But it also means you have way less control of the snowboard when you go with one foot connected only. And yeah, so these guys all went ahead of me, and they went straight up, like no problems.
Yeah, of course, because we're not retarded.
It was my turn to go up, and I told the woman at the lift that this was my first time doing the T-bar. I had done it back in 2016, but I was like, it's been ages. I better just say it's my first time, so she teaches me how to do it again.
Yep.
So she was like, okay, all good. She was just like, just get posted up, put your foot into this position, and she was just like, just stand up straight and don't turn or anything. She was just like, put the bar between your legs, and just let it pull you up. Like, don't just stand straight. And that was all she told me to do. Okay.
That it is actually that straightforward for skiers.
For skiers, yeah, but for snowboarders, it's a little bit different. So I tried to do exactly what she said, and she put the bar in. And my first mistake was trying to hold the other end of the bar like parallel to me, which caused me to turn slightly to the left, which then caused my leg to turn left, and then basically my snowboard was going to the diagonally. And I was like, okay, this is bad. And I'd seen people like crash like while waiting in the line. So I was like, nah, I just got to let it go. So I let it go, got out of the way, came back down. And the dude was like, oh, hey, man, it's all good. You can give it another shot. We'll just let a couple of people go. When you feel ready, we'll chuck you back on.
Easy.
So
yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. So waited, got my turn again. So this time I did exactly what you said. I just put it in and just like left it there, tried to get relaxed and stand up straight. And I was going up slightly, but it's like the thing is, it's just the point where you start to go from the flat spot to going like up, like going up. Yeah. It gives you a little bit of a jolt because it increases your speed because for that first bit where you're just standing there, the line is just like extending until you're strapped in, and then it gets the tension basically, and then you get the full speed of it. That was the part that kept fucking me up, was because when that transition bit, when it goes to the full tension, that jolt was like throwing my leg out of alignment just a little bit, and I kept stacking.
Now, this whole time, I'm at the top of the mountain with about 10 snowballs in my hand, ready to just absolutely pummel him because for taking 40 minutes of my time, right? Because I was like, okay, I'll be polite, I'll wait for him, but also I'll be impolite and just absolutely eviscerate him when he eventually gets up. How did you get up the mountain eventually after so many failures?
I just told you of the first 2 attempts, but I had about 6 or 7 attempts, okay? I was literally stuck there for like 25 minutes, I think. And eventually the bloke that was trying to help me out he just came back up to me. And what happened was I was like standing there watching other snowboarders to try and just get any tips I could to do this. And eventually the bloke comes back to me and he's like, hey man, look, I know you're having a bad time. At this point, the entire line is gone. Like, when we got there was like 60 people. There was nobody. There were freaking crickets. Like, at the end of it, he's just like, look, bro, I know you're struggling a lot, and we don't want to like waste your time here, like trying to just figure this out. He's like, I've called ski patrol to come get you. And I was like, shit. Oh no.
You had to get rescued, you loser.
So, I was disappointed that I couldn't do it, but I was also just thankful that I could get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Because the thing was, if I knew it was the T-bar, I wouldn't have come to this, like, down this slope at all. Like, I already knew I didn't like the T-bar. I was trying to avoid them from the beginning. But it just so happened, the family one would have taken us to a proper lift. But just because it was closed, we ended up at this spot. But anyway, yeah, so guy comes on a snowmobile, and I was just like, bro, thanks for trying to help me out. You know, I tried my best. And he's like, it's all good, man. Just practice a bit more. You might get it eventually. And then, so yeah, the snowmobile guy was just like, yeah, just jump on the back and then just hold your snowboard next to you. And yeah, you can just hold the handle next to you and you should be good. And then I basically got a free ride on a snowmobile up to the top of the mountain. And I was like, yeah, just drop me at the top lift. I was like, cause fuck this, I'm going back to my good snowboarding run.
A safe zone. It's like shaky knees.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which, by the way, it was not really safe for you, was it?
No, it wasn't. No. But first 7 times I stacked.
Yeah.
Right? Almost every time, because I'm trying to figure out the speed, the bumps, the turns, everything, and I'm still, again, learning off YouTube. So I'm trying to figure out how to do it. When I see a ski instructor just zoom past, I'm copying them. I'm seeing what they're doing. And, you know, there's only so much you can mimic just from actions, just like monkey see, monkey do, right?
Yeah.
Like that shit. That's real. And, you know, you're going to crash. If you're going to ski like I did, you're going to crash, right? So you have to suck it up. You have to learn how to get up quickly. Now, there was a point where you missed, right? Where I got up as fast as I fell, and it was like it never fucking happened. And no one saw it. I am so angry that no one saw how good it was, because as I was falling down, I basically caught myself with the stick, pushed and turned, and it was all in one fluid motion.
Look, I understand what you're saying, because I've done it before on the snowboard where I fall and just push myself back up.
Yeah.
So I can imagine what you did, and I know what the feeling is like. It's good.
Yeah, it was good. There was a particular crash where on shaky knees, as you're you're going down, you're doing your thing as usual. Like, you're being safe. You're going backwards. You're going forwards, because that's how you got to do it on your snowboard.
Yeah.
And then I just bullet past you.
Yeah, this is the problem with Barnzey, was I was doing my full S's down the mountain, using like a lot of width on the slopes.
Bro,
like,
I was in the Olympics.
Barnzey is just going straight down the mountain. He's not doing any curves or anything. He's just going in a straight line, and shaky knees is kind of steep at some points.
I'm training. I'm going to be an Olympian.
So, and he was always getting upset with me. He's like, "Oh, you're taking too long to get down the mountain." I'm like, "No, you're not doing it right." That's the issue.
If the goal is to get down and I get down before you, if we were racing, you would lose.
It wasn't a race.
Except for the times that it was, and it's always a race for me. I was listening to metal. It was good shit. So I bullet past Dazz, except I'm not on the skis, all right? I'm backwards. But I'm not just backwards. My skis are in the air because I'm on my ass.
Yeah, the thing was, I was at this because I'm really comfortable with shaky knees. So I was just like doing my S's, going quickly down. And at this point, Josh at Barnzey was like up the mountain a bit. He was like 50 meters behind me. And because I look back, every time I turn, I can like face backwards on the snowboard, and I can see where he is. And yeah, he was ages away because he was taking it easy, or he'd fallen a little bit earlier as well.
Yeah. Plenty of times it happens.
Yeah, so I turned to the back onto to face down the mountain, and I'm doing my S's, and then next thing I know, I just see Barnzey just friggin' sliding straight down the right side of me, and he's just like facing backwards, skis in the air, and it's like just shock, like, oh fuck, how do I stop? And he wasn't slowing down, he was speeding up.
On my ass.
He slid down the mountain that like another basically 50 meters down the mountain, like
building momentum.
Yeah.
There's no resistance. It was ice.
Yeah, I was nervous for you too. I was like, because at the bottom of the mountain, it just slopes up, and then it's just a cliff.
It's just a drop.
Yeah, there's a net that's supposed to catch you.
Listen, that's the second time I've been skiing, right? So it's like I'm more likely to take risks if it's funnier.
Yeah,
right? And it was funnier, but also I hadn't been skiing a while, and I know that it's possible that I wouldn't go skiing again for another while. So it's like, okay, let's see what we can do. Unfortunately, what we can do is crash very easily. Oh fuck. So, but no, there's some GoPro footage of that particular crash we just described. I don't think there is.
I don't think there is.
No, but there is a few, and then there's some good ones. We went through a snow machine as well.
That's right.
That's a good shot.
That was a cool shot, yeah.
Did you put that in the video yet?
I've looked at the footage of it, but I haven't chucked it in just
yet. The
yet.
answer is no. Yeah, okay.
No, but it does look good, this shot.
Bro, I think we did all right, considering it was the first time trying to film while on snow.
Yeah.
Essentially, whatever we were doing. So, Yeah, there's not much happened after the third day, because fourth day was just traveling home. Except, let's talk about podcasts while on a fucking podcast. Yeah, that's a good fucking idea. The Misfits podcast, that's great. I'm gonna, because that's basically stopped now. I reckon this is now foreshadowing. One of the intros for the episode is going to be the segment stealing segment where I steal their intro. And because their podcast is not running, there's nothing they can fucking do about it legally, I think, maybe. So that's that. That's my idea. And if I forget, you got to remind me. That's why I'm telling you. And now it's on record as well, so I can remind myself later. This has basically just become notes for me, right?
Yeah.
So the Misfits, right? It's like they're 2 Kiwis, 2 Aussies, and 2 Americans, and they're all YouTubers back in the day. They made very popular Counter-Strike videos, making jokes with each other, shooting the shit as, you'd do back in the day when you'd play games. And it'd normally be branded as pretty offensive. And they got very popular doing this offensive humor while just playing Counter-Strike. So eventually, individually, they all formed a group. And now, after forming just a group where they're in each other's content, filming videos with each other, they then decide, hey, let's start doing things in person. So then they decide, let's go on a road trip, basically, in another country. And from there is where is born the Poland story. And this story was hyped up for, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, I'm not entirely sure, but it made one of the best podcast episodes ever that I've ever heard. And I've shown multiple people, including Dazz, on the trip home, and it's crazy. They're traveling on shrooms, essentially.
Yeah.
They're going to strip clubs in Poland. They're getting drugs. They're getting fucked up, and I cannot recommend it enough. This is just the recommendation section now of the podcast, where I'm like, hey, listen to the Misfits podcast. I get nothing out of it, but it's a good listen. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I agree. It's like a better version of The Hangover.
Yeah, actually, and it's real.
But it has to be told as a podcast because it's 6 different perspectives.
Yeah, exactly. And they all interlink. So one person would do something and it would cause the effect of someone else down the line later on, and they didn't know until they told all their stories.
You couldn't make a movie about it because you wouldn't be able to show it properly.
And even then, it's how they say fact is stranger than fiction. People are like, nah, this is bullshit. This is made up. It's well, it might be, but I don't think it is.
No, it sounds too wild.
Yeah, but according to them, it really happened, and it's a very, very entertaining listen to. So
it is a good listen. I recommend it. Yeah.
Misfits podcast, the Poland story. It's the first episode they ever recorded.
Oh wow!
On the podcast. Yeah, that was their first one. That was their opening for their podcast. Yeah,
that's a good opening.
Yeah, that the whole reason they even started the podcast was to tell that story, and they smashed it out straight away.
Right. It sounds like something they would have done for the 50th episode or something.
Oh nah, bro! Because they were making videos and shit together before. Yeah.
But yeah,
so to even get together in the same room to record that.
It's a good listen.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that basically concludes our trip.
Yeah.
We ended our holiday by listening to someone else's holiday. I never even realized that, and it was fucking worth it. Even with a 3.5 hour car ride. Was that what it was?
With stops.
Yeah, with stops, but yeah, okay, I guess we stopped because
it was 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Yeah, not the biggest road trip, but still, yeah.
It was good, yeah.
It was good. So then it was okay, that's it. I don't want to see any of you for a week.
Yeah.
Maximum. No, minimum. It's I'm sick of you all. Nah, that's good. Okay, well, I'm glad that we recounted that. Do you have anything else you want to talk
about? Nothing pressing, but we could talk about...
Nothing is pressing on the podcast, bro. Unless...
Other than, you got a nice haircut, I saw.
Okay, alright, yeah. So, Dazz recommended the barber after I got a shit haircut last time, and I wasn't happy about it at all. And he goes, hey, why don't you go to my barber? And I'm like, you know what? I think I will. As soon as I want to get a haircut, I'll go. Fast forward a couple of months, and I hit Dazz up, and I'm like, wait, where was that barber that you were going to that you said that you'd recommend to me? And he goes, hey, come to Fadeaway and ask for Chris. And I said, you know what? I think I will. So I did. I go there, and Chris, he fucking delivered, right? Shout out to Chris, because there's no video here on the podcast, but I said, oh, you can see the haircut in the video that you filmed for the food review.
Yeah.
The most recent one. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, see, there's media around. But yeah, that's another thing. More content. Fuck. Let's just use content to talk about content. Yeah. Fuck it. Double down. Generate more. Yeah. Food reviews. Did I tell you how that started?
Back in high school?
No. So during quarantine, right, there were some mutual friends of ours that we started, like before you and I were, like we sort of started talking at parties and shit, but before we were going online, we had mutual friends, right, one of my cousins, and he was giving me shit for only eating certain foods, and I told him it's because I don't like food. I eat it because I have to. And then as a joke, he and another one of our mates were making a list of like foods for me to try when we were outside of lockdown, yeah? And we're like, hey, you can review it. Because at this point, content creation had only been discussed, right?
Yeah.
Hadn't even made the Among Us videos yet. And it just became a spreadsheet. It had all sorts of food. It had Indian food, Korean food, like just like all the Eastern shit that I'd never even thought of, heard of, couldn't even spell if I tried, right? All that sort of shit. And the idea of Barnzey's food reviews came about. And that's what the comedy page used to be. Like, that's what the Instagram was. And from there, it'd be like, all right, let's go out, let's try this food. Dude, I hadn't even eaten a HSP.
Yeah, that's right, I saw it.
That's how that started.
Yeah.
And like literally 100 HSPs later, and I will order that regularly for takeaway, right? I might even have one after this. That's how much I like that shit, right? So, from basically... Now that the page is just converted to comedy stuff, that still fits, because it used to be like a fake food reviewer page, and that was like the joke.
Yeah.
But now it's just, all right, I'll put food reviews on there. So we were drinking at a house party recently, and yeah, just full out. And what did you pull out? What was it called?
Korean K-Dog.
Korean K-Dog, all right. I still maintain that it was a chode on a stick.
What's a chode?
A chode? It's a small fat dick.
Oh.
What do you mean, what's a chode?
I mean, it does look like a chode on a stick then.
Yeah, it is. I was like, wait. He's like, did you not know what a chode was?
No.
Okay, well that explains a lot actually. So yeah, I ate chode on a stick, and it was basically deep fried cheese with sauce. What was the sauce? What sort of sauce? It was very
sure. It was a sweet sauce, but I think it was like not sweet and spicy, but it was like it
wasn't spicy. It was a little bit sour.
Yeah, it's more like it kind of tastes like some sort of blend of honey and some other thing with a little bit of chili, I think.
Definitely, actually, yeah. So yeah, I tried that
because it's called spicy sauce.
What's it called?
Not spicy, but spicy with a W instead of a P.
Was it like fucking named by a child?
I don't know.
Spicy sauce. Fuck that. I'm not calling it.
I've only heard of it in Korean, like food.
Is that just maybe that's bad translation?
I don't know.
No, it could be. But yeah. No, did that, and yeah, the haircut is in that video. So thank you, Chris from Fadeaway. Maybe you're gonna tell him like we're like, hey, on the podcast, shout you out, and then just get another listener.
I can. Well, either of us can now when you next see it.
Yeah, because like you were saying before, it's such a flex to be like, oh yeah, my barber.
Yeah,
and it's like subtle wealth. What other? Can you think of any other ways to like subtly like? Is it flout? Like
if you have a guy for anything, like
I'll
just speak to my Thai guy. I'll speak to my mic guy.
It's like, hey, you want some fish? I got a fish guy. Yeah, that's a good flex. You know what I think is a good one? Like custom tailored clothes. So like you buy clothes that don't fit, but you go to this tailor, even if it's just like simple shit.
Yeah,
like trousers.
You have a personal tailor. Yeah,
exactly. Which is like, oh yeah, I've got a guy for that.
Yeah,
it fits into the same thing.
Exactly.
Dude.
Yeah.
Same like custom furniture. Dude, it's like it's subtle, right? But you go to a house that you own, if you own a house like a fucking idiot, and you've got your own furniture, custom made by someone, and you're like, hey, yeah, I had that made. That's pretty good. The only way you can beat that is that I made that.
Yeah, which is what I can do that because I've done carpentry stuff.
There you go. See, can you do it well enough to make furniture for people though?
Depends on the type of furniture, but
TV unit.
Yeah, I could do that.
You can make a TV. You can confidently be like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I can do that.
That's right. That's what my non-nose like. He's like, hey, why'd you buy this? I could weld that for you. And it's like, yeah, but bro, you're like 75. Settle down. Bro. All right. Well, I've only got one more thing I want to cover. Do you want me to just go through it? Because I think this is actually an interesting idea.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So do you remember back in the early 2000s, there was an anti-piracy ad where it would play on VHS tapes?
It was most beautiful Australian government advertising.
It was like yeah, okay.
Classic.
Now, what if I told you the music from that ad was pirated?
For the ad?
For the ad.
Bullshit.
That music was stolen for that ad to make the anti-piracy ad.
Oh, that's fucking good.
I can't even make it up. I had an article here, but I've since like lost it. So I'll try find it while talking. But yeah, that ad, that super iconic ad that was on every VHS tape, right, in the early 2000s. And the only reason you don't see it anymore is because the person who owned the music like got that shit cancelled.
Yeah.
That's why it disappeared, because
That's
the piracy
hilarious.
ad was fucking pirated.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And it's just like stolen music. There we go. Don't know what that is. Okay. Here, so this ad, yeah, with like piracy, it's a crime.
Yeah.
That one, okay? Yeah, look. One of the biggest cases of hypocrisy was uncovered last year. I don't know when this article was published. With More Than a Whisper. Most of us will remember seeing the "you wouldn't steal a car," yeah? You wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal a handbag, yeah, all that shit. Adverts would play on every DVD we played in the early 2000s. What most people have yet to discover is that the music for the anti-piracy campaign was actually pirated from a Dutch musician named... You can read it yourself, because I can't read that.
Melchior Redveld.
Okay, yeah, okay. I don't know what the accent was, but yeah. So they just stole the music from some Dutch guy, and then he was playing a DVD. I think it was like Lion King or some shit. And he was like, "Wait, that's my music." And then he just like everything was in motion, and then suddenly, bam, the ad is gone. But yeah, I thought that was interesting to bring up because I saw that and I was like, "Fuck, I have to talk about it on the podcast," and I forgot to talk about it last time.
Nah, that's good.
Yeah, dude, what a fucking case of irony.
Yeah.
That might be as good as it gets. Just, yeah, I don't have anything else left to say on this, man. You gotta help me out here.
No, it'd be like the only thing that could top that would be like if did you remember the ad I showed you of the government talking what was it, warning about AIDS?
Was that with the
Grim Reaper and the bowling alley?
Yeah.
If those guns got AIDS.
What, the Grim Reapers or the people with the
people who made the ad?
Dude, that was a fucked ad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. You know what? Maybe I'm considering now. Maybe I'll do it in the editing. Maybe not. Where I'll just put the audio for that ad, and that's how the episode ends. Because that was funny. You know, I'll chuck it in the video. That'll be some incentive to watch the video version. Because you know what? The YouTube version of the podcast gets nothing, no views, no promotion, none of that, and it is.
Well, think of what you're competing with.
Yeah, true. All right, well, I'll chuck that ad at the end, and this is the podcast. That's it. It's over. Go home. We're done recording for today.
At first, only gays and IV drug users were being killed by AIDS. But now we know every one of us could be devastated by it. The fact is, over 50,000 men, women, and children now carry the AIDS virus. That in 3 years, nearly 2,000 of us will be dead. That if not stopped, it could kill more Australians than World War II. But AIDS can be stopped, and you can help stop it. If you have sex, have just one safe partner, or always use condoms.